Hello everyone and welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today, wherever you are in this great world. We're going to talk about a lot of different things in this video. I gotta start with this. Alert, recession is incoming. Fasten your seatbelts. You see the full-time employment. You know, when the Fed came out with those numbers, those job numbers, and all those jobs were created at the government, I knew those were made up numbers. And even when the Fed cut rates, I said, this is going to put us on the path to recession. Everybody now knows it's coming. And people say, well, you're just spreading doom and gloom. Listen, charts don't lie. And, you know, I think 2008 is nothing compared to what we're going to see in 2025. In 2008, we didn't have $35 trillion at the U.S. government in debt. It's going to be far worse this time around. U.S. Congressman Matt Gaetz says stock trading should be illegal for members of Congress. Every time they say this, you know the top is in, or we are close to the top on the stock market. I think the top is going to come in most likely after the 2024 election. I think we're going to see one more massive blow off top. Then it's going to come crashing down. People are expecting a 50% correction on the stock market. And even the mainstream media news sometimes hints at a massive crash coming. Z delivers a blow to the U.S. and Canadian real estate markets in one deft move. China moves to tax the ultra-rich for overseas investment gains. Tax authorities summon wealthy individuals in a rare request. Government faces dwindling fiscal revenue as land sales slow. You know, the real estate market is also going to have a major correction. You could see it already coming. And I think that correction is going to happen next year. At that point, most likely all of you will already have made massive gains off of your crypto investments. So the best time to get into real estate most likely will happen next year. But you could see that coming as well. The DOJ and DOD recently advanced a bill to expand domestic military powers, including the use of lethal force against American citizens. Yes, I read that right. Use of lethal force against American citizens. DOD document 5240.01 outlines their plans for censorship, vaccine mandates, and capital controls targeting your money and your crypto. You know, I said it time and time again. Get your crypto off the exchanges. You know, these exchanges, if the government put pressure on them, they will shut off the on-off ramps. And your crypto is going to be trapped inside the exchange until the exchange comes back up and running. Get your crypto off the exchanges. And here's the rest of that document. And you could see exactly what they're telling you. And why do you think they released this right before the 2024 election? It's because they are already expecting chaos. They're expecting riots after the election because I think they're preparing for it already. And again, when they're talking about using lethal force against their own citizens, where's Congress? Where is anyone stepping in to do something to stop this? And here's Raw Paul talking about it.
But we want to start off with a headline from Zero Hedge. It's a pretty hot headline. U.S. military now is authorized to kill Americans on U.S. soil. That can't be possible. Yeah. This would open up the door for the careless use, and if more frequent and legal. It'll be legal now, so nobody will have to worry about that. Send in the troops. We need you to shoot a couple of these people. They're opposing our policies. They're demonstrating against COVID rules or something they'll come up with. So I think it's very, very dangerous.
So here it is. Now, Zero Hedge picked it up from Armageddon Pros, which is a Substack which they often run. It says, U.S. military now authorized to kill Americans on U.S. soil? Just ahead, intriguingly, of November elections, and that was my second thought, the military has granted itself permission to unleash lethal force on the civilian population. Again, I thought this has got to be an exaggeration, so I went and looked, and actually go to the next one because this explains what it is. Now, it's not a law. It's a DOD directive. So this is, the administrative state where they take over. They don't pass laws. They are laws unto themselves. Go to the next one if you can, because this is what they're talking about. And I went and I read this secondly, and it talks about a reissued DOD directive that was reissued just on September 27th, 2024. It governs the Department of Defense intelligence activities and now includes provisions authorizing lethal force in certain circumstances. And it supplants the 2016 version, which did not mention that. So I read all of this too, which is someone else's analysis. I said, okay, this sounds even more troubling. I want to go look at the document itself. And so go to the next one. I actually went and looked at the DOD directive. It's DOD Directive 5240.01. Now go to the next one. I'm just going to get to this really quick so I can, just so people, this is on their own website. Now this is section 3 of that directive. Assistance to law enforcement agencies and other civil authorities. Now go to the next one. Now this is levels of authority. This is section 3.3. Defense intelligence components may provide personnel to assist a federal department or agency, including a federal law enforcement agency or a state or local law enforcement agency, when lives are in danger in response to such a request for such assistance in accordance with the following approval authorities. Now here are the authorities. I'm sorry to get so far into the woods here, but go to the next one. Responding with assets with potential for lethality, and I underlined this, I highlighted it, or any situation where it is reasonably foreseeable that providing the requested assistance may involve the use of force that is likely to result in lethal force, including death or serious bodily injury. I'm sorry to bog the discussion down with that, Dr. Ball, but I really wanted to hone in on this is their actual document. It's not.
So I wanted to play that clip because it shows the actual document. This is not made up. This document actually exists. And I think it's a major overstep by the Department of Defense. And somebody should be there to rein them in. Then there's this. The White House just announced an additional $425 million for Ukraine. When will this admin prioritize securing our borders before giving money to fight other countries' wars? Where is the money for North Carolina and Florida after the hurricanes that ripped through those areas? You know, the people in North Carolina and Florida actually pay into this system. And instead of helping them, they keep sending money out of the country. That's how much your government cares about you. And, let's get back to the U.S. debt. This lady is 100% correct. They're just dragging the U.S. dollar along as long as they can to bring in the new financial system. Take a listen.
For many decades, the dollar has been the reserve currency. And the system is what I would describe as long in the tooth. And the central bankers are trying to bring in a new system, but it's not ready to go yet. And we're in a period of great change and uncertainty where the central bankers are trying to keep the dollar system going and accelerate. So they're trying to lengthen the dollar system, and then they're trying to accelerate bringing in the new system. So I describe the new system as the end of currencies. So we're not bringing in a new currency. We're essentially bringing in a new transaction system that will be all digital and essentially end currencies as we know them. So what they're trying to do involves essentially all the money on the planet. So it's big, it's complicated, it's messy.
and it's coming. And we are holding the technology that they're going to be using inside of that new financial system. But when she says that, it's so relevant because you see them racking up all this debt and they don't care because they already know a new system is coming to replace the current system. The real great awakening. Now take a listen once again to Catherine Austin Fitts. She's talking about how this all started.
When the central bankers of the G7 nations went into the room in Jackson Hole in August 2019 and they voted on the going direct reset, everything that's happening to us right now is part of the going direct reset, and they voted on it. It was a plan. Okay, so they wrote a plan. They decided to do this. So they've been engaged in the financial coup for 20 years. We're now coming into the end game. They have to consolidate the financial coup, and they vote on the going direct reset. And with that one decision, they made a decision over the next year to put 500 million people out of work. That's the equivalent of dropping several nuclear bombs around the world. That's financial warfare. And they made it intentionally, they made it knowingly, and it was a plan. And what is very important to understand when you think about this pandemic is people are not dying from magic viruses. People are dying from tyranny. They're dying from a great poisoning that's part of that tyranny. But our problem and the thing we need to be afraid of is tyranny, because the tyranny is about to get much, much worse.
And that's what they planned. So they planned for that to happen. And all of a sudden, remember all the lockdowns that were happening, and some people had to go to work because they were first responders, but for the most part, most people were out of work at that time period. And while everybody was at home and watching this TV, keeping up with COVID and everything else, they were building out a new financial system in the background. They were already planning what would come next. And I think we're getting very close to it now. The new financial system is not that far away. I had a great chat with Catherine Austin Fitts, former investment banker and assistant secretary in the Bush Jr. administration, about the importance of financial transaction freedom and the building wealth reset. Take a listen to this.
Our focus this year is on financial transaction freedom, and there's a move to centralized control. I don't know about you, but I don't want to turn into a Canadian trucker. And I can't tell you the difference it makes in your life to bank or do business with financial institutions or precious metals dealers who are clean. My prediction is the day will come when the states not only call a default for failing to protect against invasion, they're going to call a default for failing to follow the financial management laws and start demanding the money back that's been stolen. We have a political problem. We don't have there's no financial problem. There's no economic problem. We have a secret governance system which is highly dependent on war and organized crime, and we can't afford it anymore. Am I building, personal and family and community wealth in a way which makes the pie bigger? Or am I participating in shrinking the pie in a way that makes me money? I can't tell you how many people in the planet are making money doing things that harm other people.
And every time that we go to war, it's always to strengthen the US dollar. I even showed you that on the DXY chart. Every time we go to war, all of a sudden the DXY starts to rise. And, that's part of the whole plan as well. Every time, the BRICS are coming to de-dollarization plan for the United States. Oh, okay, well, we're going to start a war in this country now and strengthen the US dollar. And that's what's been going on. And as US citizens, we're also paying into the system, but every time we need to take money out of the system, there's no money there. But there always seems to be money to send to other countries. And that is a massive problem inside the United States. Our taxation system is broken. And, they always say, well, you got to pay your fair share. It fixes roads. It fixes this. But what are they fixing? We just had 2 major hurricanes in the United States, and we have no money to help those people. They want to give them $750. And then you look at Maui, $700. But at the same time, we're sending billions of dollars to other countries. And I think a lot of that money is disappearing as well. Most of that money is getting laundered back to certain people. That's my honest opinion on it. Gold's performance can vary significantly depending on the prevailing economic conditions, while falling interest rates are just one factor to consider. You know, everybody always says, oh, you got to buy Bitcoin. Bitcoin's better than gold. Well, gold always seems to hold up better than Bitcoin. And I could show you that on chart after chart. The historic examples demonstrate that gold's performance as an asset can vary significantly depending on the prevailing economic conditions. However, some general patterns emerge. Gold tends to perform well during periods of economic uncertainty, mainly when interest rates are falling and investors seek safe haven assets. Rising inflation, especially when combined with low or falling interest rates, creates a particularly favorable environment for gold prices. In deflationary environments, gold's performance may be more muted, but it can still attract investors seeking a store of value during economic downturns. Stable economic growth can provide a supportive backdrop for gold investment, particularly when combined with accommodative monetary policy and rising inflation expectations. Now, here's the best argument for gold. You know, everybody always says, buy Bitcoin. You know, if war breaks out, Bitcoin loves war. No, it doesn't, because I showed that on chart after chart. But here's what the biggest concern is. Say, for instance, the lights go out, you know, and you go down to the local store. Maybe they're running on a gas generator and you want to buy food. And if you don't have paper money, gold is the next form of payment. Silver is another form of payment, or something materialistic of value. You could always transact in physical gold, is what I'm saying. So whenever they're trying to sell this idea that Bitcoin is always better than gold, it actually isn't. Italy plans to raise its capital gains for investments in Bitcoin to 42% from the current 26%. So why did they say only for Bitcoin, or is this for all of crypto? And you know, when you see this, and you see the UK doing the same thing, because they also want to raise capital gains from 33% to 39%. This is about wiping out the middle class. This is on track with the Great Reset. The middle class is holding up the Great Reset. They want to make sure that no one has any money left, because this way they could easily transition you over to the CBDC system, central bank digital currency system. And when even the United States now also wants to raise the capital gains as well. Remember, that was talked about. Plus, they want to also have unrealized capital gains, which is far worse, because that's if you're holding XRP and say it runs up to $1 and you don't sell it and it comes back down to 50 cents, you still owe taxes on that other 50-cent gain, even though you never sold the asset. So unrealized capital gains is far worse. And I know they said it's for people that make over $100 million or something on those lines, but that will eventually go down. You know, that'll eventually affect every single person. Not only that, even if it is for the most wealthy people in crypto, they would just sell their crypto off, so they don't have to pay those unrealized capital gains year over year. Because the crypto space, it fluctuates so much. That's what got you into crypto. All that volatility. The fact that if you invest in crypto and all of a sudden it does 1,000x overnight, and you know you don't sell, you're gonna owe capital gains on that 1,000x run up. And I think a lot of people would leave crypto. A lot of the wealthiest people would leave, and all of a sudden crypto would just plummet. And it would affect it either way. It would end up affecting every single person in crypto. But I wanted to do this video because I can't believe what the Department of Defense is doing. But you know, everything that we're seeing right now has been planned out a long time ago. And it's not doom and gloom. These are things everyone should know, because everybody out there that is in the know is telling you ahead of time. But you know, I'm going to tell you what I always tell you. You're a crypto investor. You know, if you want to break away from CBDC, if you're holding utility-driven cryptocurrencies, that's the best way to do it. And always have some physical gold and physical silver on the sidelines as well. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.